Hello, I'm Azai. Welcome back to Aokana. I just came back from the gym, as per usual. Also ate some food because I got a lot of leftover food from yesterday that I made. Sometimes that doesn't really happen, or, you know, not sometimes, but that doesn't really happen a lot when I have like leftover food. Because I usually make my portions. Like, I meal prep every single week. Usually at Sunday. I always rotate what I eat. Also rotate a lot of the veggies that I've been eating. Lately I've been really into tomatoes again. They're really great. I don't know, they're just a burst of flavor. My sister really hates them, I don't know why. I really love them. And what else? I also have a lot of zucchini because they're just pretty easy to replace carbs if you don't want to eat a lot of rice. You know, you can really peel them off really small and maybe strand them into like, what do you call them? Like zucchini noodles, I guess? Really, really nice. Broccoli, a staple in my diet. And then, you know, lots of onion and garlic and stuff, but those are more for seasoning than anything else. What other veggies do I get a lot? Maybe carrots. What else? Spinach? Maybe not so much spinach. But yeah, nothing really much to say about today. The gym has been going super great. I really do feel like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I got a burst of energy suddenly. I'm guessing my muscles are growing because the gym session has been a lot easier. Even though I keep progressive overloading. But yeah. Tomorrow, actually, I will be going to sell one of my bikes. I have a lot of bikes. I have like 5 bikes or something right now. And the reason why I bought those bikes in the first place was actually to make my family exercise with me. But yeah, they haven't really been using them, so might as well just sell it. I myself use like 3 of the bikes pretty regularly. 1 road bike, or I guess I have 2 road bikes that I use pretty regularly. 1 just to go everywhere, and then 1 to race up. And then I guess I use my folding bike a tiny bit. Not that I use it anymore though. I used to use it because I wasn't really comfortable with going too fast on the road just yet. But now I'm pretty comfortable with it. Oh my god. Okay. I was kind of scared there for a tiny bit. I thought that I didn't save after the last episode. But I forgot that on the last episode, we actually finished off Mashiro's route. Whew. Scared me for a tiny bit. It's not like it's going to be too hard to get to the point where I left at. With the skip function, usually I'd get back to where I was in a matter of 3 minutes or something. But yeah, it always just scares me when I don't have a save that I feel like I should have. So, let's just recap what happened on the last episode, shall we? On the last episode, we finished off Mashiro's route. Bless her soul, bless the route author, that they only gave her 2 H scenes instead of 4. I don't know what they were thinking with Misaki. Maybe the amount of H scenes they give the girl is the amount of like favorability that the creator of the game has towards specific characters. So they probably like Misaki a lot more than Mashiro, right? At least that's how I see it. But in my opinion, having like too many H scenes actually make Misaki's route a lot worse than Mashiro in terms of pacing. Dear god, those H scenes were just annoying. But alright, let's load this save, which is on the bottom left there, because we're gonna be doing Rika's route. Mashiro's route, for the most part, I think I already said what I need to say on the last episode. It's pretty good. As long as you're not expecting FC. I can laugh at Messiah's stupidities and Mashiro's lovey-dovey garbage. I personally wouldn't do what the fuck Messiah did to Mashiro in her route. But yeah, it's always fun role-playing as someone that you normally wouldn't be able to, right? That's part of what makes stories really enjoyable. As long as it's coherent, I have a lot of tolerance to story stuff that are weird and whatnot, and sometimes even plot holes that don't make sense. But yeah, there are some visual novels that even my tolerance cannot tolerate. But we're not gonna talk about that. So let's actually go into Rika's route. If you're fine with me, I'll do it. Ichinose may be a Takafuji student, but she's a lot more than that to me. Even putting her FC skill aside, we've gotten pretty close thanks to all our little chats. I feel like coaching her would be really fun. Huh? Oh, sorry. Shindo-san, who has been listening to our exchange this whole time, chuckles. Ichinose shoots a reproachful glare at Shindo-san. It's weird that she wants me specifically. Does she have something other than practice in mind? I see you're quite the sadist. Ah, what is with Japan and like, you know, being able to just say this nonchalantly. And with that, Shindo-san takes his leave. What a weirdo. She looks like an abandoned dog right now. Guess she doesn't know what to do. Well, anyway, I'm not really sure what to say. Guess I should just welcome her for now. Let's do our best together, Ichinose. Why'd you fall silent? She suddenly stopped while saying my name. What? Oh, I see. True, that wouldn't have been in line with our club's rule. It really isn't anything that special. Well, whatever. I'm just glad she doesn't seem like an abandoned dog anymore. I wonder how she'll develop from now on. Should be exciting. Not at all. Okay, let's take this from the top. I strain my back, then repeat myself. Let's do our best together, Rika. That feels kind of awkward seeing or hearing Messiah from her mouth. I thought Yutose was like, okay, more flashback. I think Yutose is like a honor student. Where's that brave front? Oh, it's Aoi-san. Her voice sounds really far away, but also close at the same time. Why are her boobs so much bigger in this flashback? Or maybe it's just her coat. I don't know.
本当か？なんだか辛そうに聞こえるぞ。そんなことない。飛ぶのはいつだって楽しいよ。
Aoi-san looks worried by my snappy reply.
なあマサヤ、私はお前に無理してまで空を飛んでほしくないと思ってる。
Okay, now that they zoomed in, yeah, it looks like the left side is just her coat. I was wondering why her boobs got a buff.
辛いことがあったんだろう。言ってくれないかな。私を信じてるなら。
My chest tightens and I feel like I'm about to burst into tears. That single sentence has my emotions bubbling up. I feel like I'm about to burst. And yet, Aoi-san just continues to stare at me with that gentle look on her face.
言ってごらんよ、マサヤ。
Okay, so I think in Masaki's route, I had a very bad misunderstanding. I thought that right after the duel with Misaki, he stopped going to FC like altogether. But turns out he actually did play a tiny bit more.
お前のバラバラになった気持ち、私でよければ受け止めてやるから。
Her voice is so weird. Her voice is super deep, right? And seeing her in a youthful body just doesn't make it seem very natural. The scenery before me starts to blur, and I come to a long overdue realization. Back then, I was holding back as hard as I could. I was constantly fighting off the emotions threatening to spill out. Hmm? Whose voice is that? It's real gentle, but also slightly strained. Oh, she's calling my name again. Is she in our room? I know who this is. Man, we haven't listened to your theme in quite a while, Rika. When I open my eyes, I see a beaming smile stretching out in front of me. The rest of her face, which is softly illuminated by the sun, then comes into focus. Sorry I fell asleep. Can't believe I made that mistake. Oh. I noticed something slightly different about the clubroom as I look around. It has more decor? Oh, it's so clean. Someone must have cleaned up while I was sleeping. Nothing's been moved, but the dust has been wiped from every nook and cranny. Plus, the tiny bits of garbage are now gone. I would love someone that actually likes cleaning. I'm not necessarily a slop myself, but I do find it hard to just start cleaning. That very first step for you to just clean, you know. Very difficult for me to do it. But I do clean up every like 3 months or so. Like, you know, a full-blown cleaning of the house. It kinda sounds like Rika's beating herself up about this. Oh no, I should be thanking you. We usually do some cleaning when we have to, but no one's ever put this much effort into it. It looks like a completely different room now. Rika smiles at me. So what? You do this all the time? I think cleaning every single day is actually a lot easier than just doing a bulk cleaning every couple of months. I do think so. But man, I'm just so lazy. Right. Heh. Man, Rika's stupidly diligent. I can't help but chuckle. Nah, not really. Thanks. Rika goes back to sweeping the floor. I gaze at her as I recall the events of the past few days. 3 days ago. It started with our first meeting after the summer tournament. You know, in Mashiro's route, I really did think the climax was gonna be about a Koze. But now that we've finished Mashiro's route, I actually don't know now whether or not these characters are supposed to be matched up with the characters that we saw previously. I thought that, you know, Rika would be matched with Ganeko or something. Inui would be matched up with Misaki. I assume Asuka might even get a new opponent. Maybe she might actually beat Inui pretty easily. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. It started with our first meeting after the summer tournament.
それではみんな揃ったところでミーティングを開始します。
Madoka kicks off the meeting by writing on the whiteboard. What whiteboard? I don't see nothing.
今日の議題は部長の交代と秋の大会について、そしてリカちゃんの練習参加についての3本です。
Are they talking about that thing she has on the table right there? I used to have those when I was still in middle school, maybe. Why does this feel like the preview for next week's episode? I don't know what you call those though. Like a portable mini desk? No, not a desk. I guess a board thing?
よろしくお願いします、皆さん。よろしくお願いしますね。一ノ瀬さん、じゃなかった。リカさんにいろいろ教えてもらいたいです。
So, Misaki's still here. I don't know if Misaki is going to quit with Rika here. I guess we'll see.
そんな、こちらこそです。
This is a nice surprise. Rika and the others have already decided to move to a first-name basis.
しかしマサヤは次から次に可愛い子探してくるよね。
I'm not picking them up. Give it a rest.
はい？何のお話ですか？
Look, Rika, don't bother paying attention to anything Misaki says.
こら、いきなり部員同士の関係を壊しにかかるな。
That's my line. Rika was the one who asked to join our practice. However, having her here is a huge help, so it was in our best interest to agree. The current plan is for Rika to join us for all of September, during the summer break, and then for a few several day blocks until the fall tournament.
結構長い期間なんですね。
高藤の次期主力と練習できるのか。とてもいいことだ。
ん？青柳兄はもう引退だろう。
そうだよ兄ちゃん、まだ部活に来るつもりだった？
ぐぬ。そうだった。俺は引退するんだよな。
One of the other topics for today is deciding who'll succeed him.
次期部長は日向くんでいいんだよね。
ああ、俺はそう思っていたが、日向はどう考えてたんだ？
I had the exact same idea, actually. I've got no real reason to refuse, and it'll make things simpler in the long run, so this seems like a good idea.
じゃあ次の部長は日向くんってことでよろしく。
I didn't think Messiah would actually... What's the word I'm looking for? Like, name himself. In the past two routes, I think he never actually wanted to become the president.
よろしくお願いします。
In this one, he actually named himself. What brought the change, I wonder? And so, I'm elected president with no objections. Nice. Though when it comes to names, Prez is still Prez. You guys should just keep using my name.
あれ、そうなんだ。
Yeah, I mean, changing things up at this point would be really confusing.
それもそうだな。俺もまだ部室に来るわけだし。
部長、引退は？じゃあ日向くんの呼び方はコーチとか日向くんのままでいいってことね。
Yeah.
じゃあ次は実は意外と早い秋の大会についてだけど。
The meeting comes to a close after we discuss our plans for the future. We've decided on our objectives for the fall tournament and what we're going to do in practice.
よし、じゃあみんな怪我には気をつけてな。
We all moved to leave after hearing our advisor's considered warning.
ああ、それとマサヤ、
Aoi-san calls out to me.
この後時間を作れるか？少し話があるんだが。
I still don't really like Aoi-san, by the way. We've got nothing planned for today other than this meeting, so yeah, I can.
また何か悪いことした？
Don't make it sound like I'm some two-bit criminal, Misaki.
じゃあそっちのことについても聞くべきかな。
ぜひ聞いてあげてください。
Oh, come on.
わざわざすまないな。
Misaki's a bit too playful in this route. It's fine. What do you want? I already told her Rika is gonna join us for practice. She just responded with an I see and moved past it. I can't imagine this is about her, so I wonder what this could be.
一ノ瀬リカのことだ。
Oh, guess I'm an idiot. What about her?
いや、マサヤがどうして一ノ瀬を教える気になったのか、それが少し引っかかってな。
Because she asked? I've got no special reason, I swear.
そうか？頼まれたからといっても、理由がなければ断ってもよかったんじゃないのか？
Well... Yeah, the reason why I don't like Aoi-san, like I said, is because she always asks these questions, these leading things that makes Messiah think in a certain way. Right? I guess it's good for a teacher to be doing this, but I always feel like she nudges us in the direction that she wants us to go, right? Instead of going or doing whatever we want. Then again, Messiah is the type of person that probably needs these sort of nudges from other people. I don't know. I just don't particularly like that in someone. In real life, anyway. She's got a point. I only accept it because Rika asked, but that's hardly a good reason. Hell, logically, I should have put my players first and rejected her. But...
訳ありか。
Aoi-san snorts.
私は倉科も飛沢もそして有坂にしてもそれぞれ面白い部分を持った選手だと思っている。
Same here.
ならばこの中の誰かを鍛えるだろう。
Well...
それで一ノ瀬の頼みを聞いた理由は？
She's got this all wrong. Sure, I agreed to help Rika, but I don't plan on showing her any preferential treatment. Though to be fair, that's clearly not what Aoi-san is asking. She just wants to know why I'm inviting someone from a rival school to train with us. And that's a valid concern. Basically, she's trying to gauge my motives. I think there's something similar about Rika.
お前に近いものか？
She's like me.
全くタイプは別に見えるがな。
Yeah, I don't think so too. What the fuck? That's out of nowhere. No, that's not what I mean. I guess an outsider would see it that way. But when I look at Rika, I see the mind of someone who's been cornered. It's the mindset of a person... What? Man, this is for sure a typo, but I don't know what to change the word into. It's the mindset of a person that gets into... What? It's the mindset of a person gets into when everything is going so well. Okay, that's actually right. That's not a typo. I was trying to like make sense of what the hell the sentence is going to say. But they're suddenly rendered incapable of moving on. The feeling of hitting an impassable wall. A plateau? You didn't hit a plateau though. It's the feeling you get when you're walking through life's problems without a care in the world. Then are suddenly forced to challenge something that feels insurmountable. She's been cornered without ever getting a chance to understand the situation. Just like I was in the past. Or so I think. I finished explaining everything to Aoi-san. I don't think so.
そうか。
That's kind of a stretch, Messiah. Didn't he already answer, like, why he wanted to teach Ichinose in the first place? Because it's going to be fun and interesting? Because he wants to see her improve? That's literally what he said after the scene where we became her coach. Why is he lying? Aoi-san gives me a curt response as she uses a hand to keep her hair from blowing in the wind. Sorry, I know I'm pushing it.
何を言ってる。マサヤがちゃんと考えていると分かってよかった。
I don't know, to me he seems like he's bullshitting. Aoi-san looks at me with a gentle smile on her face.
これ以上口を挟むことはない。あとはお前の好きにやれ。
Thanks. So, what do I do now? Honestly, I'm at a loss. What kind of player is Rika? What am I actually hoping to accomplish by training her? I have a vague plan in mind, but I'm not really sure if it'll actually suit her.
マサヤさん、考え事ですか？
She's actually asking what are you thinking, not asking for an opinion. Hmm? Oh, about what?
掃除終わりました。
I look around. I can't spot a single speck of dust on the windowsill or any of the magazines we had bunched up in the corner. Looks like she organized absolutely everything. You're as diligent as they get, Rika.
性格もありますけど、下心もありですよ。というわけで、早速いろいろと教えてくださいね。
Sure thing. I've got to pay you back for this favor, right? As I stand up, I remember my conversation with Aoi-san. What exactly should I be teaching this girl? Honestly, I'm still not sure.
美咲ちゃん、ちょっと左右の動きが大きくないですか？そうかな。いつもと変わんないつもりだけど。いえ、私もちょっと大きいと思います。いつもの美咲さんでしたら、もう少し動きが小刻みじゃないかと。リカちゃんよく見てるね。私自分の動きとかあんま考えてないからな。皆さん、そんなことより置いてかないでください。
The four Skywalkers are flying up in the sky. They use their free time as they're shifting from field flying to slaloms. The fuck are slaloms? To discuss their movements.
はーい。それじゃああと3往復したら順番に下に降りてきて一旦休憩するよ。はーい。わっ、美咲ちゃん声が元気。休憩を待ち望んでいたと。まさにそんな感じですね。
Everything's going so well that you think they've been practicing together for ages. I'm real glad Rika's fitting in. What about Masaki quitting though? After practice,
さあリカちゃん、一緒に帰りましょう。はい、お待たせしました、アスカさん。仲いいね、そこ。はい、停留所も同じですし、その上可愛くてこんな感じの妹がいたらいいなーってとても思います。あ、そこまで熱烈に思われてたんですね。なんでしたらアスカお姉ちゃんって呼んでいただいても構わないくらいです。
Asuka seems to really want that to happen, but
それはごめんなさい。振られてしまいました。残念だったね。
she doesn't seem like an One-san type of character anyway.
美咲お姉ちゃん。
無理、勘弁してください。いや、ほんとマジ勘弁。
振られちゃいました。
Mashiro notices Asuka's gaze. Two rejected girls, brought together by their shared pain, joined together to form a new bond of...
ましろちゃん、 スカ先輩。
You're not gonna hug and agree to become sisters instead? Seriously? No new bond of friendship here. Man, I don't get people.
まあ私はね、兄ちゃんが姉ちゃんとして生まれなかっただけでよかったなって。
Yeah, same. Something about the reverse makes me think of a scene straight out of a horror movie. In any case, I'm just happy everyone's getting along. So Misaki might actually not quit in this route.
いろいろとすまないね、ひなたくん。
Though I do hope they explain the reasoning. Because I really like the fact that Misaki still quit in Mashiro's route. Very consistent. Shindo-san has come to observe today's practice. It's no trouble, really. Honestly, I feel bad about having you come all the way out here on your day off.
そりゃ僕は頼んだ側だからね。一ノ瀬くんの頼みだったとはいえ、僕も一緒に依頼したんだし。
Shindo-san's clearly a man of integrity. Kinda helps me understand how Takafuji has raised so many strong players under his leadership.
しかし意外だったよ。
About what?
君がまさかこの件を引き受けてくれるなんてね。
Well, both you and Rika have done a lot to help us out.
いや、違うね。
Huh?
たとえ義理があろうと、君は立場的に断れる状況だった。他校のコーチが大会前に取るべき行動ではないわけだし。
Guess Shindo-san has the same hang-up as Aoi-san.
はっきり言ってしまうが、一ノ瀬君は選手としてそこまで特徴があるわけではない。
After the fight with Misaki, yeah, I can kinda understand like where she is in the power ranking, Shindo. Yeah, I know.
スピーダーにせよ、ファイターにせよ、彼女は一定のレベルまで器用にこなすし、総合的な能力は高いと思う。が、それゆえにどこか能力の突出した相手には弱い。そういう特化型の選手に対抗するにはまだ相当な時間がかかるだろう。
He knows a lot about her. Makes sense. Since he's her club president and all, I guess.
同じコーチをするにしても、短期間で考えるならば、倉科君や飛沢君を教える方が面白いはずだ。ましてや彼女たちは同じ学校の生徒だ。普通ならば優先はそちらだろう。
Well, to be honest, this is my third route, Shindo. So yeah, I did say this. I was gonna choose Rika before Chapter 6 of the game actually happened. But then Chapter 6 happened and I really want to do Misaki's route. And I did not get disappointed in Misaki's route, other than the fact that the 8 scenes were a bit much. If I were to voice out my own logic of why I would choose Rika, it's because Messiah's and Rika's chemistry is a lot nicer than everyone else's. She's basically like the default heroine in my opinion for Messiah.
なのに、君は一ノ瀬君を受け入れた。よかったらその理由を聞かせてくれないか?
Well, you see, I give Shindo-san the same explanation I gave Aoi-san. He remains quiet while I speak, listening intently until I finish.
同情ではないんだろうね。だとすると、彼女にとっても君にとっても辛いことになる。
It's not. I just want to make sure Rika doesn't end up hitting the same wall I did.
そうか。それなら。でも、君は彼女に何を教えていくつもりなのかな？壁を破れずにいる子に破る方法を教えるのは至難だと思う。
You're right. Still, I think I'm starting to figure out what I need to do. I promise it'll be fine.
わかった。それなら信頼して任せよう。
Yeah, I don't even know what she wants from us, to be honest. Shindo-san corrects his posture.
堅物だけど可愛いうちの後輩をよろしくお願いするよ。
I will. This is a big responsibility.
じゃあみんな降りてきて。これから
Madoka gives the signal, and everyone stops flying and lands on the beach below.
ふへー、疲れたー、疲れたー。
Misaki's landing is real sloppy, so her feet dig into the sand. She immediately drags herself over to where we left the sports drinks earlier.
美咲ちゃんみたいによく動いたらご飯が美味しくなりそうですね。
People do say that appetite or hunger is the best seasoning. Next comes Asuka, who has a relatively smooth descent. However, her balance is as off as ever, so she almost stumbles over as she touches down on the sand.
私も美咲先輩や飛鳥先輩みたいにスイスイ飛べるようになりたいな。って、
Mashiro messes up her descent, which makes one leg bend in an awkward direction as she lands. She manages to land perfectly every once in a while, but more often than not, it's a mess like this.
そっか。まだ切り返しの時に無駄が多いんだ。もっと素早く体勢を戻さないと。
Unlike the rest of the group, Rika pulls off a clean, textbook landing. She descends slowly, keeping a visual on her landing place as she bends her knees to cushion the impact and absorb the shock. If I want to nitpick, there are some small issues, but it's good enough that I wish everyone else would learn from her example. Still, it's so standard. Honestly, this and all the cleaning she does makes me think she goes by the book far too often. I mean, isn't she almost too diligent? I've thought this before, but now I'm starting to feel that part of her personality is hurting her play.
やあ、一ノ瀬君。
部長、お疲れ様です。
Rika rushes over to Shindo-san as soon as she notices him.
今の部長は佐藤君だろ。僕はもう OB だよ。
その佐藤院先輩が進藤先輩は名誉部長だからこれまで通り部長と呼ぶようにって。
参ったな。そんなこと言ってたのか、佐藤君は。
He says that, but honestly, he doesn't seem all that bothered. We're still calling our president Prez too. Guess they must feel the same about changing things up this late in the game.
ところで、ずっと君の飛び方を見ていたけど、いつもながら飛行姿勢が綺麗だね。
ありがとうございます。
だけど、その飛び方に固執していては、ここから先の成長は望みにくいかもしれないね。
Oh, wow! Guess Shindo-san's arrived at the same conclusion as me.
教科書通りに美しく飛ぶのはいいけど、FC は飛型点があるわけじゃないしね。より上を狙おうと思ったら、今までとは違う形の練習法が必要になるだろう。
それは一体どうすれば。
He sure doesn't mince words.
それを学ぶためにここに来たんじゃないか。そうだろ、ひなたくん。
Oh, yes.
そうなんですか。
Yeah, I've been thinking about how to best help you a lot.
楽しみだね。君がどういうことをしてくるかが。
Thanks for the pressure, Shindo-san. Shindo-san's probably got all my plans figured out already, so that comment feels kinda pointless. After that discussion, we proceed to go through the basics, have some simple mock battles, and then separate for the night. Rika's the exact kind of player I expected. The mock battles were dogfights that lasted 3 minutes. She faced Misaki, Asuka, and Mashiro in turn. Given her experience, she dominated Mashiro, but she struggled against Misaki and even Asuka. As soon as anything unexpected happens, she gets thrown for a loop. Honestly, it's less that she doesn't know how to deal with them, and more that she can't react to anything she doesn't see coming. She's mastered the basics and always tries to take the first option available. I'm in bed, thinking back over the practice session, when I find myself remembering something Satoin-san said. I'm pretty sure this happened when Rika and I met her at Iron Mall.
あの真面目な性格と才能が合わされば 我が校のような名門校でも彼女はレギュラーになれる。でもそこから先は真面目さだけでは勝てません。それを超える何かを彼女が得るにはもっと柔軟に物事を考える必要があります。
You know, Rika would probably make the perfect second Inui. Like, Inui's way of style of FC probably fits Rika to a T. But I guess she's not really aggressive enough to be able to do it. Or confident enough, I guess. I remember thinking that was a good observation. Satoin-san understood that Rika is bound to convention and sought to change that. That's probably why she's fine with sending her to our school to gain more knowledge. Well, that makes things simple. I get up, pick up my phone, and leave a note for myself on it so I don't forget. I jot down everyone's actions, what instructions to give after that, and ended off with a key phrase. Have fun practicing. The next day, the skies are clear, so we start off practicing the basics like usual. After that, I gather everyone on the beach and... Today, we're going to have fun practicing.
パン食い競争的なお腹いっぱいになる練習？
Never in my life have I heard of people practicing for a sandwich eating contest. I don't know. I mean, if you're a competitive eater, Messiah, you probably would have those sort of practices.
そういう運動会みたいなの面白そうですね。
I guess it's kinda close.
そうなんですか？
Our practice will be similar to the blindfolded race.
運動会でもマイナーな種目だね。
It happens, trust me. Now, you guys should pair up. Mashiro jumps forward and latches onto Misaki's arm.
美咲先輩はいついかなる時も私と一緒です。相変わらず愛が重いにゃー。では、リカちゃんは私と組みましょう。あ、はい。よろしくお願いします。こちらこそ。
Asuka copies Mashiro and hugs Rika's arm. Asuka notices how flustered Rika has become and lets go of her.
ごめんなさい。私、調子に乗りましたか？いえ、そうじゃなくて、どう反応したらいいのかわからなかっただけです。はい。ごめんなさい。こちらこそごめんなさい。そんなことで謝り合わなくていいよ。はい。
Wow, she's keeping it up even after being told off. I swear, this girl's way too diligent. And it shows in her playstyle too. Each pair will consist of one player and 1 second. Make sure you have your headsets on the right channel, okay? I'll be listening in on both teams.
了解。で、そろそろ何をするのか教えてくれない？
You'll be flying in the opposite direction.
逆向きというと背面飛行ということですか？
What the? We just think this like this was Misaki's way of flight during her route. What the hell? We just think this up on the spot? Okay. No. Inverted flight refers to flying with your back facing the water. I'm saying you guys will be flying away from what you're facing.
進行方向に背中をですか？そんな状態じゃまっすぐ飛ぶのも難しいんじゃないですか？
That's why your second will be giving you instructions. You should manage just fine as long as you work together.
まあいつもの基礎練習に比べたら面白そうだけど、それは何のためにやるわけ？
So this is basically like, you know, going on reverse when you're in a car. Really weird. Why would you do this? Yeah. It's to help develop your FC instincts. So you'll need to come up with an answer for that question on your own.
FC の方を鍛える。
Rika doesn't seem entirely convinced. This probably seems like a huge joke to her, since she doesn't understand the real reason I'm doing this. Well, I'm sure they'll understand soon enough. You're not allowed to touch each other. You can only score points from the boys. We'll start with Rika and Mashiro up in the air. Asuka and Misaki will act as their seconds.
了解です。わかりました。
Mashiro and Rika are lined up, floating by first with their backs towards second. This is nothing like their usual starting stances.
これでいいんでしょうか。
Perfect.
本当に OK なんですか。なんだかとても不安です。すごく不安です。背中がスースーする感じがしますね。ですよね。パンツを履き忘れて外に出たらこんな感じですよね。
What the fuck are you talking about?
そう言われても経験がないもので。
I don't think most people would do that. Holy shit, what the fuck?
私だってありませんけど、なんとなくですよ、なんとなく。
I don't know about that, Mashiro. Mashiro, stop sexually harassing Rika.
してません。ただそのくらい不安だって話をしてるだけですってば。大丈夫大丈夫、私がしっかり指示を出すから。百人力です、美咲先輩。リカちゃん。あ、はい。私うまく指示出せるかどうかわからないけど頑張りますね。ありがとうございます。私も頑張ります。
Okay, let's do this. Ready, set, go! On my signal,
これは。
they both cry out in confusion.
おーい、マシロ、何やってるの？大丈夫ですか、リカちゃん。
The two of them have gotten off to a painstakingly slow start.
後ろに進むのって難しいです。試合の流れの中で後ろ向きになるときは体が自然に動きますけど、最初から後ろなのは頭でこうしなきゃああしなきゃって考えが追いつかなくなって、余計にどうやったらいいのかわからなくなります。でも考えるのも練習のうちなんですよね。
You don't need to think all that much right now. Just focus on trying to fly straight. Masaki's gesturing wildly as she instructs Mashiro.
背筋を反らす感じで体をぐーっと後ろに傾けないと前に進まないんだから、倒れる感じで思い切っていこう。
Surprisingly, you're actually giving good instructions, Misaki. I doubt her overly eager instructions will lead to anything good. Still, this won't actually help them if I involve myself now.
思い切っていきます。えい！
Mashiro throws herself backward.
マシロちゃん。
She immediately does a backflip, then starts flailing around in the air. Stretch out your arms and legs to secure your center of gravity. Come on, this is the first thing you learn. Mashiro's rotation speed slows considerably after she stretches out like a star. They always gotta use Mashiro as the as the example of something failing. She breathes a long sigh. See what happens when you just bark out orders without thinking, Misaki? Do things properly, okay?
はーい。
I mean, those orders are better when she tried to, you know, teach Mashiro in her route before.
リカちゃんは慣れるまで慎重に行きましょう。はい。
Rika's going painfully slow.
ちょっと右に寄りすぎました。少し左に行きましょう。わかりました。左ですね。
She twists her shoulders and slowly changes direction.
違います。違います。左です。え、だから左ですよね。
Asuka, you need to reference left and right from her point of view.
そんな初歩的なミスをしてすみませんでした。いえ、そんな私の方こそ気づかなくて。
No, that was Asuka's miss, Rika. Your left and right are reversed when going backward, so that mistake isn't all that unexpected. In fact, this is good. They're having to think more already. I feel like someone's staring at me, so I turn around.
Yeah, konnichiwa.
Oh, it's Shindo-san. Didn't realize he was here. I turn off my headset and walk over to him. You could have called out to me earlier.
指導中に声をかけるほど無作法じゃないよ。しかし、面白い練習をしてるね。さすがだよ。
Just so it gets results. I look back over at Rika as I say that. She screams as her back slams into the boy, sending her in reverse along the first line. She then slams into Mashiro, who can't see her, and the recoil from that sends her back into the boy. She's like a pinball out there. Do people know what pinball is anymore? You guys don't understand. Back when PC were super rare back in like the early 2000s, those were the games that I play, man. Pinball, Solitaire, Minesweeper. People don't play those anymore, do they? Asuka and Misaki are frantically barking out orders, but things don't seem to be going well.
逆向きで飛ぶことで体のバランスを強化しようということか。
Yes.
体幹を鍛えればスピードも上がるはずだからね。
You could train your core by doing just regular exercise, though. I wanted them to learn how to quickly regain their balance in a dogfight.
うまくいくと思うよ。もっともそれは選手が練習をどう理解するかにもよるんだろうけど。
How far can Rika go, and how much can I make her understand? If I simply explain everything to her, I won't train her mind. That said, without something to prompt her, there's a good chance she will make much progress.
セコンドを選手にさせているのは試合を客観的に見る癖をつけるためかな。
That's part of it, yeah. But I also figure if they get used to giving orders, they'll get better at understanding them during matches.
なるほどね。高藤でも変則攻撃に対応させる練習はしていたけど、こういう形は思いつかなかったな。
He's complimenting me. Or at least, I hope he is. I just hope this gets results. I'm glad that Shindo-san approves of my approach, but that's not enough to make me happy. I mean, I'm essentially fumbling for an answer here. That hasn't changed. What'd you think of today's practice?
いつもと違って楽しかった。そうですね。楽しかったです。
Seeing Misaki so giddy after what happened to her in both routes is making me feel awkward.
はあ、できる人はいいな。私なんか何回もぐるぐる回って怖かったですよ。それが楽しいんじゃない。そうですね。それはもう楽しかったような。
Don't go changing your opinion to match Misaki's. Look, it makes sense that you were scared, okay? What'd you think, Rika?
正直よくわかりませんでした。
That's fine for now.
この練習には意味があるんですよね。ありますよ。コーチは無意味な練習をさせたりしませんから。
I mean, having fun in itself is not really wasting time, you know?
そうですよね。すみません。ということは、まだ私だけ理解が。
Yeah, I feel like when you're doing something just for the point of just optimally doing it and not even having fun doing so, that's not really fun, and I personally wouldn't be doing that anymore. Like when I go to the gym, I go do stuff optimally, right? I push the amount of weights that is optimal for muscle growth for me right then. And you know, I do the amount of resting in between sets as optimally as I could. I drink a lot of water, etc, right? But I'm still having fun doing it. If I don't have fun doing it, I feel like at that point, I probably wouldn't do it anymore. Yeah, probably. But I'm still having fun with, like, exercise in general. Not at first, though. Not at first, for sure. But I guess it's just like what Messiah said. When you don't understand the reason of why you train, you kinda feel like it's useless. And that sort of feeling probably will make you not want to do it anymore. At first, I guess when I exercise, I was fat, right? So I had to force myself because I already knew that I needed to exercise to lose the amount of fat I got.
いやいや、そんなことないって。私も全然わかってないもん。ただ楽しかったってだけでさ。そうなんですか?
I feel like improving is fun. My friend actually told me that before. Like, you know, when you improve at doing something, it's always fun, right? But at the same time, I feel like there's only a specific amount of things that I want to improve on in my life. Because that sort of mentality where you always want to improve on things does get a bit tiring. It makes you fatigue a lot more for sure.
なんかこう、普段やらない飛び方でしたから、いざという時に役に立つのかなってくらいです。
Though I won't ask you to keep it up if you weren't having fun.
はい。
Rika nods, though she still doesn't seem to understand. Though Rika's been confused from start to end, I decide to finish practice for today.
今日はリカちゃん先に帰っちゃったんですね。
Yeah, she said she had something to do. Our after practice meeting had turned into us just sitting around chatting. Honestly, Rika was probably confused by having her practice session completely overhauled all of a sudden. Maybe that's why she rushed off. She probably wasn't in the mood to chat. Considering her personality, I feel like she's trying to research something. Did I mess things up? Should I have explained things more thoroughly?
でも、慣れてくればきっと楽しんでもらえるはずです。
Sure hope so. Thanks, Asuka. You've been a huge help.
いえいえ、リカちゃんと一緒に飛ぶの楽しいですし。あんなに綺麗な飛び方する子と一緒だと、私も基本的な動作を頑張らなきゃって思えてきます。
Asuka is a great creative thinker, while Rika has the fundamentals down pat. They complement each other well. They may have gotten paired up by chance, but this has worked out perfectly. I'm counting on you to help Rika, Asuka.
はい、頑張ってリカちゃんが楽しく飛べるようお手伝いします。
I just can't stop thinking about it. Later that evening, I'm home. However, I still haven't heard anything from Rika. Normally, she's asking me a whole load of questions about the day's practice by this point. But I've got nothing today, which leaves me with nothing to do but laze around. I should stop worrying so much. I mean, worst case scenario, I can just say something when I see her at practice. Huh? Is that the doorbell?
マサヤ、今お母さん手が離せないからちょっと出てくれないかな。
I hear Mom call me from the first floor. She's probably cooking dinner. Hello, Mom, that magically appears out of nowhere in in this route. You were never here in both Masaki and Mashiro's route, by the way. Okay. I gotta love anime parents. Even when they aren't dead, they still don't really play too much into the story. I get out of bed and head toward the stairs. And when I'm halfway down them, I cock my head. Hold up. This seems familiar. Hasn't something like this happened before? What are those? I guess meat and potatoes. Nikujaga again? Did she make Nikujaga before? I don't know. I open the door and see a girl with a deadly serious expression on her face. Yeah, no, I think before she actually made us soba. This is just like the first time we met. This girl, who's wearing cow mittens and holding a cow pot as she looks up at me, is none other than Rika Ichinose. So this is... so is this stew? The pot contains something that doesn't really seem to fit the image of the person holding it. It seems like the sort of dense pork stew you'd find in a random bar. Ooh. That is actually sounding pretty delicious. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks delicious, but it seems like food fit for a rough man instead of someone as cute as Rika. Man, this is a huge shock. Rika breaks the silence before I can think of anything to say.
これ私が作った豚の角煮なんですが、すっごく美味しくできたと思うんです。
Is she like trying to bribe us or something so that we teach her after we eat this? It does look pretty damn great. Feels like I can taste it based on the smell alone.
鹿児島で豚骨を作るときに使うのと同じ黒砂糖と芋焼酎をふんだんに使っています。鹿児島産の黒豚なので風味も豊かで、噛むとジュワッと油の旨味が広がって、それに圧力鍋でしっかり煮込んでますから、煮卵も美味しく味が染み込んでいるはずです。
Cool. Not really sure why she's basically giving me her recipe right now. Wait, is this the reason she went home early?
だからぜひ食べてください。
Oh, okay. Thanks. I managed to convey my gratitude despite the stuttering.
それでですね、お食事の後、ちょっと窓のとこでお話ししませんか？
Oh, I see. That conversation will probably take a while, so she prepared this dish to thank me in advance. I know she's diligent, but this is way more than what I expected. Do you want to talk about FC? Then I've got no reason to refuse. I am your coach, remember?
ありがとうございます。
Rika happily bows to me.
それでは失礼します。
She came in and out like a storm. But the only trace of her that's left is the warm pot of beef stew in my hands. You just literally said it was pork stew! Damn you, translation! Even when it's not localization's fault, they just have to mess things up. I really hope I can ease her mind, especially since she gave me this. The warm, steamy scent of the stew wafts into my nose as I mull over my thoughts. But yeah, it tasted really, really good.
そうですか。それは良かったです。
Both of my parents, but especially my drunkard of a dad, loved Rika's stew. Needless to say, I did as well. I do feel like being able to cook definitely is a very high point in my book for someone that I would want to date. I myself can cook pretty basic stuff, but someone that can actually cook really good food is definitely someone I would really appreciate. In fact, it was so wonderful that I started to think all you really need in life is food that's the perfect mixture of salty and sweet. It tasted a lot different from what I'm used to. Were there a lot of special ingredients?
それは多分芋焼酎と黒砂糖のせいですね。鹿児島にある豚骨という料理のレシピを角煮に応用してみたんですよ。
Alright, she did mention that earlier. That reminds me, you came here from Kanoshima, right? We haven't really talked about her past before.
ええ、まあ。それでお話ししたいことなんですが。
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Based on how quickly she's changing the topic, I get the feeling that she doesn't want to talk about her time on Kanoshima.
今日の練習、もしかしてあれが新藤部長がおっしゃってたことなんですか？
Not entirely, but he did help.
ずっと後ろ向きのままで練習なんて初めてのことでした。
Figured.
意図を聞かせていただいてもいいですか？
Why isn't she researching this herself? Sure. I explained my thoughts to Rika. Rika's diligent personality means she has a flawless grasp of the fundamentals. On the other hand, she struggles when anything unexpected occurs. With that in mind, I try to create a totally unpredictable environment to train her to deal with the unknown. Also, it should help strengthen your communication with your second.
確かにセコンドの重要性は実感しました。
She gives me a firm nod. Well, I'm glad she at least understood that part on her own. Rika, the internet is a vast, place. You could have just Googled this. What's with the long sigh? What, don't like my methods? I kinda assume she doesn't, given the way she acted during practice. And I can't really blame her. This must be way crazier than her usual practice at Takafuji.
そうじゃないんです。今のため息はちょっと情けないなって思っただけです。
What?
はい。自分の弱点に気づかされながらもなかなか受け入れられず改善できない自分がです。もともと私の性格から来る問題については佐藤井先輩からも指摘されていました。
Yeah, she mentioned that to me during the summer tournament. That conversation we had is related to why I'm coaching Rika now.
なのに私が意地を張ったせいでその弱点への対応が遅れてしまいました。もっと早く認めて対策していればよかったなって思います。
It's not your fault. No one wants to admit they have a major weakness. At this point, you just have to think about how to proceed.
正直まだ半信半疑です。
Being able to admit you have a weakness is actually the first thing you need to do to overcome that weakness. Which means that you admit that you are lacking in that department. Well, I'm glad you're being honest at least. It'd be weirder if she suddenly accepted everything. Her diligent nature is a huge plus at times like this.
でも頑張ります。
With practice, it's good to put a lot of effort into practice.
私変になろうと思います。
Huh? She's going to become strange? What the hell does that mean?
型にはまっているとうまくいかないんですから、もっと変になるため努力しようと思うんです。
So you're going to be an extremist suddenly.
ですよね、マサヤさん。
Oh, how should I put this? I was just mixing things up in practice to loosen Rika up a bit. So I'm glad it's made her want to change, but this problem lies even deeper than I thought. I never thought she'd end up looking me dead in the eye and declaring that she's going to become strange.
私、今何かおかしいこと言いました？
Yeah, maybe you should try thinking before you speak. I also need a lot of that too, Rika. She stares at me as I remain silent. At which point... Yeah, I'm still not gonna do that, Messiah. I can't do shit like that. I can't help it. It's hard not to laugh when she's saying that with a straight face.
マサヤさん？
Rika says my name, seemingly even more confused. Sorry. I'm sorry, No, bad Messiah. Don't laugh when she's being all sincere. Instead, I need to tell her things that will make her have more fun. It's good that you're thinking so hard about what you need to be doing. But if you go too far, you risk being too stiff about it, which would make it pointless. So I need you to relax and let your hair down a bit, you know? It might be hard for you to do right now, but you should give it a try. Oh, speaking of which, the second H scene with Mashiro has her hair not actually tied up in a twin tail. I prefer that. She looks really cute in that getup. Man, I'm starting to sound a lot like Aoi-san.
ごめんなさい。つい肩肘張っちゃうの良くないですよね。どうしてもみんなに申し訳ないから。
You mean everyone at Takafuji?
それもあるんですけど、なんでもないです。
Okay. Guess she doesn't want to talk about it. Maybe it has something to do with how she's always so diligent. Her parents, maybe? But she never talks about herself, so I have no way of knowing. True, we actually don't know much about Rika, both her past or anything before that. She's just a transfer student from Takafuji. Or she transferred to Takafuji from somewhere else, and then suddenly became our neighbor. She must have a lot on her mind.
マサヤさん。
She's pretty similar to Asuka in that we don't really know anything about them. But I wonder if we actually will find out about Asuka's past too. Yeah?
ありがとうございます。
What for?
いえ、マサヤさんがすごく私のことを考えてくださってるんだって、それで一言お礼を言いたいなって思ったんです。
I'm your coach. Of course I'm gonna think about my players. Besides...
それに
Oh no, it's nothing. I'm sorry. The words almost slip out of my mouth, but I managed to hold them in. I can't just say, I don't want you to end up like me. That would just pressure her.
なんだかお互いに言いづらいことがあるみたいですね。
Feels like to me you're just projecting, Messiah. Yeah, guess so.
じゃあいつか聞かせてくださいね、マサヤさんのこと。
And I hope you'll do the same, Rika.
それはマサヤさんともうちょっと親しくなったらです。
Closer than bringing me pork stew?
そっちはお隣さんポイントもプラスしてるんですよ。
Maybe in Japan. In Japanese society. What, she's saying that doesn't mean much? I bet most people wouldn't make pork stew for any random friend though. Okay, it's a promise.
はい。
Practice is over for today. Everyone's changed back into their uniforms. So now we're just hanging out in the club room.
今日は涼しいですし、紅茶でも入れましょうか。賛成。私も手伝います。あれ
Mashiro looks over at Madoka.
紅茶のティーバッグってどこにありましたっけ？机の下だったかな。そこにないんだったらもう私にはわからないな。
You don't know? Aren't you in charge of the club room?
最近部室のことはリカちゃんに任せてたからね。怠慢だ怠慢だ。罰だ。まどかに罰を与えよう。
God damn it, seeing Misaki so giddy in this route is making me feel awkward.
マネージャーにはいろいろ仕事があるんだから大変なんだから、もう。
She does always leave it sparkling clean.
今は心なしかくすんで見えるような気がします。
I wasn't complaining about you or anything, Madoka. I'm just surprised by how seriously Rika takes her work.
まあでも確かにリカちゃんは真面目だよね。私が気づかないとこもしっかりカバーしてくれたし。そうだったんだ。そうそう、めんどくさくてついサボっちゃう窓枠の水拭きとか、やんなくていいかと思っちゃう机の上の整理とか。それは気づいてるのにやらないだけじゃ。リカちゃん向こうでどうしてるんでしょうね。
Oh, we're not practicing with her anymore?
ねえ、すっかり馴染んでたからいなくなっちゃうと寂しいね。
Yeah. It happened 5 days ago.
こちらで練習させていただくようになって1週間が経ちました。高藤の様子も見ておきたいので、また少し向こうで練習しようかと思うんです。そんなこと言わずに、 ずっとこっちで練習すればいいと思います。
Okay.
そう言っていただけるのは嬉しいですけど。
Asuka, Rika's a Takafuji player. Of course she's gonna want to know what's going on back there.
いろいろ勉強になりましたから、ご迷惑でなければまたここで練習させていただきたいのですが。迷惑とかそんな、すっごく助かってます。
全然。いつでも来てくれていいよ。
そうですよ。
There you have it. You let us practice a lot more stuff, so we're glad to have you.
ありがとうございます。そうだ、一度高藤に帰ったという設定で今日からここで練習をしたらどうでしょうか。さすがにそれはダメですか？はい、私もアスカさんと練習したいですけど。じゃあ次の時に約束で。はい。
Asuka seems to have taken a liking to Rika. And because of that, she doesn't want to see her go.
必ず戻ってきますので、その時はよろしくお願いします。
I wonder how long it'll take.
リカちゃん、いつ戻ってくるんでしょうか。
I'm sure she's got stuff to do over at Takafuji. But yeah, we just have to wait.
いつ戻ってくるのかわからないのってもやもやしますね。待つ側はそういうものですよ。
Mashiro consoles Asuka with a mature tone.
じゃあこっちから押しかけちゃおうか。
Huh? What do you mean?
そのまんまの意味よ。リカちゃんがなかなか戻ってこないから、こっちから高藤の練習に参加しに来ましたってプレッシャーを何気なくかければどうかな。
それ何気ないかな。こっちの目的がすぐに伝わっちゃいそう。
それならそれで素直に思いを伝えるってことで。
No. Takafuji's students have their own stuff to do. We can't just interfere.
先輩、そんなこと言って本当はリカさんに戻ってきてほしいと思ってるんじゃないですか？
Well, it would make the club room less of a mess.
あれってない？ちゃんと掃除してる。
あら、まどかさん、この窓枠と机の上、どんなおつもりで掃除なさったのかしら。
姑が嫁に言うみたいな口調で言うな。マネージャーにもいろいろとあるな。
Having Rika here is a huge help, and we can do so much more in training, but...
決まりですね。リカちゃんに会いにみんなで高藤に行きましょう。
No? When we decide on anything?
行くくらい別にいいんじゃありませんか？
Great. They're not listening to reason. Guess there's no stopping them now. I'm a little surprised that Mashiro is so invested though. She's never shown a strong attachment to anyone other than Misaki before. Well, if you all insist, I'll think about it. But we can't cause any problems for Takafuji, got it? That means no demanding she returns this instant or anything. Are we just gonna go right now? Like today?
わかりました。
Can we really just go inside of a school that easily? That's not our own?
本当はマサヤが一番戻ってきてほしいんじゃないの？
What's that supposed to mean?
どういう意味でしょうか。それは自分で考えてください。
Misaki waves her hand and gives me a coy smile.
じゃあ高藤の FC 部に電話していつなら行っていいか聞いてみる。向こうの許可をもらえば迷惑じゃないでしょ。
There we go. True. Good idea.
みんなで高藤に行って練習ですね。
気分転換にいいし、リカちゃんに会えるし、マサヤがニヤニヤしちゃうわけだよ。
I am not. After that, we confirm a visit to Takafuji in 2 days. So what? It's a week after she decided to go back? It's now evening, so everything's tinged orange because of the setting sun. Asuka is gazing out of the window.
夕方になっちゃいましたね。
ほんとだ。
Apparently, Takafuji were only having a light practice session today, after which they'd have a meeting, then end club activities for the day. Rika said she'd head right over to meet us once all that was done. That was a very hard sentence to say for some reason. We're anticipating several people from Takafuji wanting to do a joint practice session with us, so I have the girls stretching to make sure they're warmed up.
こういうちゃんとした施設だとさ、ストレッチもぐいぐい真面目にやっちゃうよね。
No? You should always take it seriously.
おやおや、普段は真面目にやってないように聞こえましたか？
It did. Do your stretches properly and you'll have more range of motion in your joints, which will help you during matches.
関節の可動範囲が広くなるとどうして有利なんです？ドッグファイトとかで激しく飛ぶときは全身を動かすじゃないですか。その時関節を広く動かせる方がより急な角度で方向転換ができたりするんです。おお、まるでマサヤ先輩が乗り移ったみたいです。私も以前コーチに同じ質問をしましたから。あと腕が大きく動けばタッチできる範囲も広がるんですよ。タッチできる範囲が広がる。なんか微妙にエロいですね。
It's not. Anyway, as I was saying, just make sure to take your stretches seriously.
はいはいと。それにしても高藤のみんな遅いね。
Mm-hmm.
一体どうしたんでしょうか。
I bet their meeting just dragged on late.
リカちゃんなら連絡くれるはずだもんね。
わかります。そういうところしっかりしてそうです。
電話が通じないとなったら、たとえ雨の中でもマサヤのところに飛んできそうなタイプだよね。
Literally no one would ever do that.
なんでもないとは思いますけど、来るのが遅いと少し不安になりますね。
約束の時間間違えて伝えたかな。
Oh, come on.
大丈夫大丈夫、ちゃんと伝えたはず。
大丈夫かな。
大丈夫だよ。お掃除はサボるけど、その他はおおむね優秀なんだよ私は。
So you're admitting you skip out on cleaning. Oh? It's from Rika.
ほら大丈夫だった。これから行きますよって連絡でしょうか。
Yeah, probably. Or cancel. I raised my phone to my ear. Hello? My greeting is drowned out by Rika's voice. Huh? I immediately tense up. What's wrong? Did something happen?
Huh?
Everyone stares at me, having noticed my change in tone.
大変なんです。すぐに海岸まで来てください。お願いします。
Huh? What's going on? Hello? She abruptly cut the call. I doubt she heard me.
リカちゃん、どうかしたんですか？
Well, she was the one calling us, so I don't think she's hurt. Apparently something bad happened and we need to get to the beach. That's all she said.
大変なことですか？それって一体。
急いで海岸に行かないと。
Wait, calm down.
そんな電話があったのに落ち着けるわけないじゃない。
It might just be that someone got hurt during practice and Rika's in a rush because of that.
そっか。
Madoka, have you got the first aid kit?
もちろん。とは言ってもテーピングの他は絆創膏とコールドスプレーくらいしか持ってないけど。
Great, let's head over. The sun continues to set as we run toward the beach.
リカちゃん、大丈夫でしょうか？
We'll find out once we get there. From the phone call, it sounded like something had happened to one of the other club members. So at least Rika's fine. Still, I've never heard Rika so flustered before, which makes it hard not to worry. No point thinking about it now. I've gotta hurry. We finally arrive at the beach. What was that CG? What happened here? There are 1, 2, 3 Takafuji players passed out on the sand. It looks like they've collapsed from sickness or something. But nothing indicates their lives are in danger. What a relief.
まだ何が起こったかわかんないんだから安易に触っちゃダメだよ。揺らしたりしたら症状が悪化するかもしれないんだから。
Food poisoning? Madoka's right. No touching. Right as I say that, one of the collapsed players moans.
佐藤井さん、大丈夫ですか？
Asuka rushes over to Satoin-san.
これってどういう？
Mashiro suddenly freezes. A moment later, we all notice the same thing. Oh, what the fuck? Alright, this girl! I actually forgot about this girl. She was in the tournament, wasn't she? Mashiro's staring at something. Or rather, someone. A girl stands before us, backed by a gloomy cluster of clouds. She wasn't even mentioned in Misaki's route. Of course, in Mashiro's route, there's no way anyone else would be mentioned, because FC isn't the main thing. Long arms, long legs, long hair, long body, long... well, everything. The girl who did a lot of fouls, right? Other than us, she's the only one still standing. Her upper body hangs limp, like it's broken, as she wriggles around like a venomous snake. Then, she twists as she turns to face us. Those are some impressively flexible joints. Ugh. I spot her eyes through gaps in her long hair. Those are a warrior's eyes, but that's not all. You see people's eyes transform like that during matches. It's a natural side effect of competition. But hers are on a whole different level. There's a thirst for blood in them that's akin to a carnivore staring down its prey. Man, they really just gotta make this so dramatic. She draws in a sharp breath. Something similar to fear shoots through me. I feel like she'll suck me in if I don't keep my feet rooted to the spot. Why isn't it on the spot? What is all this? Do you know what happened here? A faint laugh echoes around me and rattles my eardrums. No, I can't give in to fear. Put on a brave front, Messiah. I ask you what the hell is going on? The girl takes a single step toward us. That alone makes us all wince and take half a step back. I feel an immense pressure flowing out from this girl. Huh? That seems to be her activation key, since her graph shoes start up. Bro, isn't what she's doing like illegal? Why isn't she in jail? The fuck? She doesn't say another word before flying off toward the sea. I can hear my heart rapidly pounding in my chest. I feel like I've seen her before. I can't remember where though. Exactly. We don't even know if she's done anything. Though given the situation... No. Treatment comes first. They probably have concussions. So go check if they're conscious or not. But avoid shaking them. Perhaps. I explained that everyone's going around checking on her fallen comrades. Don't worry. It seems like most of them are conscious. We'll stay with you until you've all had a chance to recover a bit. I raise my head as I hear the sound of oncoming footsteps.
一体何があったんだい？
Shindo-san's face is warped in shock. Behind him is Rika, who's ghostly pale.
わかりません。でも試合をしていた人が次々と倒れてしまって。
Rika's voice is trembling.
何ですかこれ。何ですか。
Calm down, Rika. Panicking won't help anyone right now.
日向君の言う通りだ。
Rika gives us an awkward nod. Let's carry those who can move to the infirmary.
了解。
わかりました。佐藤院さんも保健室へ行きましょう。私は大丈夫ですわ。それより他の子たちを。
What a model leader. Seriously though, what happened? None of this makes any sense. Guess I'll wait until things have settled down a bit to ask. We carry the people with concussions to the infirmary, then send the others from Kunahama home. Having a crowd of people from another school around among all this chaos is likely to make matters worse. I remain behind with Shindo-san, Rika, and Satoin-san. Luckily, she seems to have gotten off lightly. The other students had relatively minor symptoms too, but they were still worse for wear, so we took them to the infirmary anyway.
病院に行かなくてもいいんですか。頭痛も吐き気もありませんから平気ですわ。病院に行くために動き回るよりこうやって安静にしていた方がいいと思いますし。
Satoin-san forms a faint smile in an attempt to relieve Rika's worries.
もちろん念のため明日の朝には行ってまいりますわ。
さて、何があったのか話してもらえるかな？
Satoin-san looks at me.
日向正也はあの場にいたスカイウォーカーを見ましたか？
Yeah, I did. A girl with really long limbs.
それなら誰かわかりますわよね。お二人はあの人と面識があるんですか？
Oh, well, I feel like I've seen her before. Satoin-san breathes an exasperated sigh.
夏の大会で一緒に見たではありませんか。動画裏工業の。
I think back to the summer tournament. There was a player from Dogawara that was disqualified right at the start of her match. Yeah, I remember now. She's the one who got disqualified for repeatedly touching her opponents in the first line.
そうですわ。名前は確か黒渕という選手ですわ。黒渕さんですか。
で、その黒渕選手は何をしたんだい？
全体練習が終わってミーティングをし、解散して大半の部員は家に帰った後でした。私を含めて4人の部員が自主トレで残って海岸にいました。これから武道場に戻って久那浜の皆さんとお会いしましょうと思っていた矢先、その黒渕さんが現れたんです。彼女は練習試合をしてくれませんかと言ってきましたわ。
練習試合か。
もう練習は切り上げるつもりでしたから断ったのですけど。最初黒渕さんは低姿勢だったんです。高藤と試合をしてみたいんです、勉強させてください、そう言って何度も頭を下げるので林田さんが。
If I remember right, Hayashida-san's a guy in his sophomore year.
そこまで言うなら俺が相手しますと林田さんが言って、佐藤院先輩もそれを止めにくい雰囲気でした。今思えば許可を出さなければよかったのですけど。
Anyone would find it hard to refuse someone who was desperately pleading. Ah, I could do it. I don't really care about most people for the most part. At least people that I don't know. And that only gets harder when someone agrees. Stopping them there would have been impossible.
試合開始してセカンド V を黒渕かすみが取った後、 セカンドラインで激しいドッグファイトになりました。それが始まってすぐに林田さんの様子が変になったんです。
ドッグファイトの最中に？
はい。それで黒渕さんが様子が変ですと言って脳震盪を起こしているみたいだって。ですので緊急用の機材を使って林田さんを砂浜に下ろしました。
そんなことがあったのにどうして試合を続けたんだい？
偶然の事故だと思いましたの。黒渕かすみも申し訳なさそうに謝っていましたし。
Are you kidding me? So she's literally what the fuck?
黒渕さんに気の毒なことをしてしまったという空気でした。脳震盪は軽いようでしたから、私と佐藤院先輩が介抱している間に五十嵐さんが代わりに試合をするということになって。
Bro, this girl should be in jail. Or you know, the delinquent, juvenile delinquent variation anyway. She's probably underage. Igarashi-san is a girl in her sophomore year. One of the ones who practiced with Misaki and the rest during the training camp.
ですけど、すぐに同じことが起こって。
What?
脳震盪を起こしたのですわ。
Ah! I find myself gulping.
その時、私と佐藤院先輩を見下ろしていた黒渕さんの唇が不自然なくらいつり上がっていて。
Bro, I feel like this girl needs an actual beating from her parents. What the fuck?
私たちを見下ろして笑っていましたわ。嘲笑ですわね。
I'm sorry about that. She was sneering at you?
そこでようやく脳震盪を狙ってやったのだと分かったのですわ。
You figured that out, but still chose to face her.
恥ずかしながら挑発に乗ってしまいました。
そこまで冷静さを欠くのは変じゃないかな。普段ならそんな相手と試合はしないだろう。
今はそう思いますわ。
その時はそう思えなかった？
はい。何と言ったらよいのでしょうか。その黒渕かすみの雰囲気が。
私も黒渕さんから変な雰囲気を感じました。
An aura, huh? Could you go into a little more detail?
見ているだけで足元が危うくなるような、引きずり込まれるような、そういう怖い雰囲気です。
Bro, I could understand if she was actually doing stuff that wasn't breaking the rules, but she's clearly breaking the rules. Why is she still able to play FC? If we are actually facing her in a match that she's clearly trying to break the rules later down the line, I feel like this girl should just be in jail, like I said.
佐藤君の感想は？
同じですわ。そこに行ってはいけないと分かっているのに、ポジティブな闘争心ではなくてネガティブな闘争心を刺激されると言えばいいのかしら。
God, you guys are talking about some pretty bullshit stuff here. Damn, that sounds intense and also nonsensical. You do get players like that. No, you don't. What the fuck?
確かにね。
They're few in number, either because it's difficult to act that way or simply because few players choose to try and learn how to. I'm not talking about people who just jeer and taunt here. These are players that provoke you with everything they have. Every single slight gesture, the look in their eyes, their expression, their hand positioning. The image of Kurobuchi on the beach floats back into my mind. When I think about it, she really did feel like one of those players. Before I knew it, she was already in control, already drawing me toward her. There are times when your opponent will attack relentlessly, and you find yourself thrown off pace with your stamina depleted. And at that point, you're dancing in the palm of their hands. It seems on this occasion, Satoin-san was made to dance.
佐藤院先輩も同じようになってしまっていて、私には試合を止められそうになくて、マサヤさんに電話をして校舎に新藤部長を呼びに行ったんです。
それはいい判断だったと思うよ。
You shouldn't blame yourself either, Satoin-san. Your opponent probably has a lot of experience. Any normal person would have given in.
いえ攻めますわ。全ての面において黒渕かすみに私が負けてしまったということになりますから。
In this regard, you can kinda make a case for her that she did this after the consent of the other people dueling with her. But man, FC really needs to work on their rules a lot more. Like, what the fuck? This is clearly something illegal. She's as strict on herself as always. Like, they don't have those things like, well, she did get disqualified after doing it 3 times on the last tournament in Chapter 6. But they really need to make it a lot more strict. Like, you know, when you have the red card or something when you play in a soccer match.
それでどうして脳震盪を起こしてしまったんだい？
それがよくわからないのですわ。最初の2人ももつれたと思ったらそうなっていましたし。
Is that really all that happened? Just getting tangled up with your opponent wouldn't result in a concussion, unless there was something special about the way it occurred. The only possibility is that foul play was involved. And even then, it's hard to do it without anyone noticing. Does Kurobuchi have some sort of trick up her sleeve?
ともかく今日のことは動画裏に抗議しておこう。絶対に野放しにしていいことじゃないからね。
黒渕さんはどうしてうちを狙ったんでしょうか。
僕は心当たりがないな。
Maybe she's like one of those dojo hunting guys that are... I don't know if those are actually a thing in like the olden days. I know in movies those are a thing. So like those people who just go around dojos and then hunting the dojos and beating their headmaster and then getting their signs or whatever. Because those signs are like a sign of pride, right? For most dojos, I believe.
私にもありませんわ。
I imagine the only way to find out is to ask her directly.
そうですよね。
Rika hangs her head and stares at her feet.
もしかして。でも。
Does she know something? I'm on my way home with Rika. The shock from what happened earlier has kept her from saying much of anything this whole time. I tell you not to worry, but I know you won't listen. Still, you should try to relax a little. I imagine Kurobuchi will at least be banned from playing external matches after we speak to Dogara.
そうですよね。
Right. Hmm? Rika abruptly comes to a halt.
とっても怖いんです。
I get that.
そういうことじゃないんです。
Oh?
黒渕さんが見下ろしていたのは佐藤院先輩じゃなくて私だったと思うんです。
Really?
そうだったと思います。はっきりとは分かりませんけど私を狙っていたんだと思います。引きずり込まれそうでもし佐藤院先輩がかばってくれなかったら。
Why would she target you specifically? You're saying Satoin-san took the fall for you.
佐藤院先輩は違うと言うと思いますけどきっとそうだと思います。私が引きずり込まれそうになってるのを見てそれで。
So what? None of that matters. Only Kurobuchi's to blame for this.
でも私が強ければ。
This isn't a boxing or MMA. Messiah is actually right. Giving someone a concussion isn't the mark of a strong Skywalker. If anything, it's the sign of a weak one.
いえ、そういうことではなくて私の心が強ければということです。私の心が強ければ飲み込まれたりせずにきっぱりと拒絶できたんじゃないかと思うんです。
True? Maybe, but there's no point brooding over that now.
私
Rika's shoulders are quivering slightly. Okay, she actually probably didn't mean that she's being targeted specifically. It's just that, you know, they were targeting everyone in that vicinity, right? Or Satoin-san basically wasn't actually provoked, but Rika was. So like she was trying to provoke the people that are lower than Satoin-san first. Doesn't mean that Satoin-san, after you get... I don't know. If she refused to do so, what would happen? 2 people still got a concussion. I don't think much difference would happen, really.
次黒渕さんに会ったら自分がどういう行動を取るのかわからなくて黒渕さんにめちゃくちゃにされちゃうんじゃないかって。
You can just decline her duel? Her trembling grows more severe. If she coerces you into a duel, that's probably illegal. And I'll call the cops. You can just decline the duel. It's okay. I wrap an arm around Rika's shoulders. Next time Kurobuchi comes for us, I'll be her opponent. What the fuck? You don't even do FC in this route yet. I don't know how, but I'll drive her off. Wow, those are some big words. What happened to this messiah? He's suddenly chatting it up. Don't worry, Rika. Just trust in me.
マサヤさんありがとうございます。
Who am I playing as? Rika's expression softens as she thanks me. I nod and squeeze down on her shoulders. Then, I stay there until she finally stops trembling. That was definitely a sudden shift though in tone for the route. I really forgot about that girl, I can't deny that. Before her CG suddenly pops back up, I actually did not remember that girl actually being in the game. She was shown for a brief moment, but not much until she did another foul and got disqualified. That's why I remember Ganeko and Okoze more. I guess that girl is most likely gonna be the main antagonist in this route. But yeah, I think this is gonna be where I stop the episode for now. We'll continue more of Rika's story next week, because in 2 days I'll be doing some more Venus Blood Frontier. It's always nice doing 2 playthroughs like this. I can also keep up with the story very well. I think I've already said this before. But the reason why I wasn't wanting to do 2 playthroughs back maybe 5, no, not 5 months, maybe like a long time ago. Maybe like half a year or 7 or 8 months ago, was because it's very difficult for me to try to remember what the hell happened when I was doing the last episode. But that was also before I did I have a very good schedule about just doing 1 episode per day. So I would record multiple episodes per day, and it would just make my brain can't keep up with what the hell is happening on each of the games that I've been playing. That's really what was going on. But now that I have a really good schedule, it's pretty easy to remember what happened on each of these playthroughs. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Give this video a like if you guys like it. Sub if you guys haven't. Patreon will be getting these episodes early access along with everything uncensored. Which so far, nothing is uncensored just yet. Well, at this point, we already know that everything that's going to be the sex scene is going to be at chapter 8. Or the final chapter of the routes. But yeah, Patreon also now has free members. So for people on YouTube that aren't on Patreon just yet, feel free to join as a free member on Patreon, because that's going to be where I put free episode previews for the first playthrough. Or, man, how do I usually say this? I messed up my own words. I'll be putting first episode previews, yes, for future playthroughs. There you go. I'll see you guys in the next one.